Welcome to Sports Guy Talking. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about the Heat advancing back to the NBA Finals for the first time since the bubble year, which was in the 2020 NBA season. The Heat were able to avoid becoming the first team ever in NBA history to blow a 3-0 lead in a playoff series. In fact, the Heat even made history as they became just the second 8th seed ever to advance to the NBA Finals. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So, here it is. What is your reaction to the Heat winning Game 7 against the Celtics? And honestly, I am very relieved that the Miami Heat won Game 7. Sure, I picked the Boston Celtics to win the game yesterday, but I picked the Heat to win this series. Before the series started, I said that the Miami Heat were going to win this series in 6 games. I was wrong. I should have stuck by that prediction and said Miami Heat in 7 games. And Joe Mazzulla, man, he went back to being Joe Mazzulla just in time for the Miami Heat to win Game 7. I got complimentary of Joe Mazzulla for his adjustments that he made in Games 4, 5, and 6, but he did not do a good job adjusting to what the Miami Heat did in Game 7. I know what Joe Mazzulla did was far from easy. He had a pretty difficult task. Miami Heat are one of the best coached teams in the NBA. When you talk about elite basketball coaches in the NBA, Erik Spoelstra has to be at the top of everyone's list. And sure, some people might give the Miami Heat grief for not being able to close out the series earlier, but I'm going to give the Miami Heat a pass for it. Why am I going to give the Miami Heat a pass for not being able to close out the series earlier? Because they're an 8th seed and they're a team that is missing Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo. They're already missing 2 key rotation players, and they're already an 8th seed to begin with. And the fact that they've already gotten as far as they've gotten is already an incredible job. So if the Miami Heat took 7 games, if they took 4 games, to me, I don't think they should really care how long their series took. It's not like the Denver Nuggets where they were considered to be the best team in their conference basically all year long. When you talk about this Miami Heat team, this team is Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and a bunch of role players. Although one role player really stood out for the Miami Heat in Game 7, that was Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin played the game of his life, and honestly, if we were talking about Game 7 MVPs, Caleb Martin has to be at the top of the list. Now, I know that Jimmy Butler ended up winning Eastern Conference Finals MVP, but if you want to talk about a guy that comes through clutch under pressure, you got to give that credit to Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin scored 26 points and set the tone early in the first half. Caleb Martin scored 14 points in the first half, played great defense, and knocked down his 3-point shots that he needed to do. Caleb Martin also got 10 rebounds in this game. So that tells me that he was hustling up and down the court all game long. So he was playing hard, he made the key shots necessary, he played great offense, he played great defense, he played a pivotal role. I mean, he played so well that I'm wondering where was this performance on the Charlotte Hornets, because he used to play on my team and he played nothing like how he was playing on the Miami Heat. Look, Caleb Martin was nothing more than a back-end rotation player when he was on the Charlotte Hornets, and when he went to the Miami Heat, he's been playing on the bench for most of the season, but Erik Spoelstra put him in the starting lineup in Game 6, and that has paid dividends for Caleb Martin, because Caleb Martin is playing some of the best basketball that he has ever played in his career. So I got to give Caleb Martin some props there. And then you look at Jimmy Butler, man. He started out cold from the field. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, don't tell me Jimmy Butler's going to disappear on the Miami Heat once again. But he got his act together, and he showed up in the second half, and he played so well that he totaled up to 28 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. He played great on the defensive end of the floor too. He also stole the ball 3 times as well. But you guys are not here to hear about the stats. You guys are here to hear the fact that the Miami Heat are going back to the NBA Finals for the first time since the bubble year. And who would have thought that the Miami Heat would have gone back to the NBA Finals before the Los Angeles Lakers did? When you looked at the Lakers roster versus the Heat roster in 2020, almost no one believed that the Miami Heat would have gotten back to the NBA Finals with the roster that was constructed at the time compared to the Lakers. The Lakers had a million times of a better roster than the Miami Heat did, but the Miami Heat are back in the NBA Finals, and they seem to have shown some bigger justification for their bubble run, more so than the Lakers did. So that's just absolutely wild to me. Erik Spoelstra deserves a lot of credit for the leadership that he has provided for the Miami Heat. I'm going to choose to look at their blown 3-0 lead in terms of getting it blown to a tie series before closing it out with a Game 7 win. I'm going to look at that as a blip in the radar. I'm going to say, you know what, that was tough for the Miami Heat, but I'm going to take it easy on them because the Miami Heat are an 8 seed that is missing 2 key rotation players in their lineup anyways, and it's not exactly like their bench is great anyways. I mean, if Duncan Robinson is one of your better bench players, that's how you know your team is not not that good because Duncan Robinson is nothing more than a three-point specialist. Although I will say in Game 7, he did a little bit more than just be a three-point specialist. He did a good job cutting to the basket. He did a good job blocking a shot on Jaylen Brown. He did a good job stealing the basketball as well. He played hard on both ends of the floor. So I got to give Duncan Robinson a lot of credit for that as well. And as for the Boston Celtics, man, I was very disappointed in how they played in Game 7. Look, I said the Boston Celtics were on the verge of making the greatest comeback ever, and they probably would have done it. However, Jayson Tatum gets injured basically the first minute of the game. Matter of fact, he got injured on the first possession of the game. And that obviously set the tone for how the rest of the game was going to go for the Boston Celtics because Jayson Tatum was not himself. I thought Jayson Tatum would play a great Game 7, and he did not do so. He only took 13 shots. I know he was playing on a bum ankle, and it's tough, man. But if you're the Boston Celtics, you've got to find production from other players. How does Jaylen Brown, your quote-unquote other number 2 option for the Boston Celtics, go 1 of 9 from the three-point line? How does he lead the team in shots, but he missed 15 shots of them? How does Jaylen Brown keep getting cooked on the defensive end of the floor? If I'm the Boston Celtics this offseason, I've got to find a way to move out Jaylen Brown because Jaylen Brown is not a capable number 2 option on a championship caliber team. Jaylen Brown is a really good player, but for whatever reason, he doesn't show whenever the lights are at his brightest. And as for Derek White, he really struggled from the three-point line. I know Derek White is supposed to be a role player, but Derek White's expectations rose up to newer heights more so than ever, especially after what happened in Game 6 when he hit that game-winning shot for the Boston Celtics to extend it to a Game 7. If you're the Boston Celtics, you are probably hoping for more production from Derek White. And as for Marcus Smart, man, how does Marcus Smart only score 9 points in an elimination game? How does he only go 1 of 6 from the three-point line? If you're Marcus Smart, you've got to be extremely disappointed with how you play. You were basically useless on both ends of the floor. You couldn't shoot the ball offensively. You couldn't stop a lick on the defensive side of the floor. And you were just basically performing cardio out there. And the bench for Boston was absolutely unproductive. And look, basketball is a very simple game. You look at the math, and if you score under 20 points in 2 different quarters, yeah, you're going to get blown out. And I said the Boston Celtics, in order for them to complete their biggest comeback ever, I said that they would have to have a lot of factors go in their place. They did in games 4, 5, and 6. But in game 7, a lot of factors went against them. And when those factors go against the Boston Celtics, that means that they're going to get blown out of the floor, even if they're at home. And they failed to make the greatest comeback of all time. I mean, look, I'm not saying that the Boston Celtics sucked or that they didn't play hard, because they certainly played hard, and they showed grit and toughness and determination, and even getting it to a Game 7 in the first place. But one thing was clear, the Boston Celtics ran out of gas while the Miami Heat remained resilient. Congratulations to Eric Spoelstra. Congratulations to Jimmy Butler for staying resilient and not panicking over what happened in Game 6 and knowing what they had to do in Game 7 in order to make their adjustments. Congrats to the Miami Heat. I couldn't be happier for them, and at least I got one pick right in the Eastern Conference Finals, because I did say that the finals matchup was going to be Lakers Heat, but instead it's Nuggets versus Heat, so I can't complain about that. So that is why I feel very relieved for the Heat as they won Game 7 in convincing fashion against the Celtics. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinTran and @SportsGuyTalking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video. Comment down below. Check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.